recognize that God is. I recognize that God is here, and God is all of the energy of the universe. God is all the love I could ever want. We continue this week on our journey through Unity's 5 basic principles, our basic teachings. So first I want to do a very quick review. At the beginning of the month, we talked about our first principle, that there is only one presence and one power, that it is God, it is good, it is everywhere present. It is the creative energy of the universe that resides in each one of us. That's the second principle. God is. I am. I am an expression of God. I am an expression of the divine. I am here to take that energy of God and release it into the world. Third principle, I think or I create, and any time we create, we co-create. Because when we're truly in that energy of creation, we are connected with Spirit, and we are moving Spirit's intentions out into the world. We do that through our thinking, through our feeling, through our thoughts, and by being intentional about listening to the voice of God. And this week, we're talking about our fourth principle, I pray. You know, we had the first 3 principles are kind of about our philosophy. We kind of an exploration of the nature of God and the nature of humankind and our purpose in being in this world. But if we're here to give expression to God, we need to stay connected to that energy. And that's where the fourth principle comes in. Prayer. Prayer and meditation are the vehicle by which we stay consciously connected with God, by which we commune with the infinite. Now, we're never separate. But sometimes in our minds, well, we are, right? And so prayer and meditation are the practice that keeps us connected, that allows us to know who we are, where we come from, and what we're here to do. So Unity's concept of prayer is a little bit different than some of you might have grown up with. Oftentimes when we talk about prayer, we think of this idea of praying for something that we're lacking, of beseeching God for help in some way. And those prayers of supplication may be helpful at times, but from a Unity perspective, we want to move beyond the idea that God is kind of this giant vending machine. That comes from a friend of mine. That drops these things into our lives when we pray hard enough. Actually, Charles Fillmore said, God doesn't give us things. God gives us ideas, and we bring them into expression. And so prayer is the vehicle. Prayer and meditation are the vehicles, the practices that link us there. And an affirmative prayer that we teach in Unity is a bit different. It's about placing ourselves inside the consciousness of what we are. You see, God is not a being having parts. God is the essence of everything. And so if we're praying for For a healing, we want to place ourselves inside the consciousness of the divine life that is flowing through us. If we're worrying about something, we might want to place ourselves inside the consciousness of peace, connecting with that energy of peace that is the very essence of our being. If we're feeling some financial stress, we want to place ourselves inside the consciousness of abundance, recognizing that we are connected with everything that could ever exist. Now, this idea of placing ourselves in the consciousness of what we want can seem like a great idea, but not necessarily so easy in practice, right? So I alluded to this earlier. Emily Cady says that God is not a being or a person having life, intelligence, love, power. God is that invisible, intangible, but very real something we call life. God is the perfect love and infinite power. God is the total of these things, the total of all good, whether we see it, whether we experience it or not. And so what we're doing with affirmative prayer is putting ourselves in that state of awareness, that state of consciousness. And there's a new book. It just came out a few weeks ago called Discover Your Divine Identity. It's written by Reverend Linda Martella-Wissett and Reverend Deanne Morency, and it is a book about the power of affirmative prayer. And they use a 5-step prayer process that those of you that have been in Unity for a while might recognize, although the language is a little bit different. But this is the basic practice of putting ourselves in that state of consciousness. It starts with I open. In the former language, it was I relax. That relaxation can be a relaxation of the mind and the body. It can be a relaxation, an opening in our consciousness, our way of looking at things, being willing to release that thought that is somehow kind of tight and restricted. And so when we do this, we are beginning to open to new possibility, something new that can be generated through our consciousness. So this is just the first step, a willingness, an openness to have a different experience. And the second step is I recognize that God is. I recognize that God is here, and God is all of the energy of the universe. God is all the love I could ever want. All the prosperity, all the healing, all the wholeness. God is absolute good. And I want to place myself inside that awareness, recognizing that there is no limitation in that consciousness that God is. The third step is about integration. We first begin to understand what God is, and specifically that expression of God that we are seeking, whether it be peace or healing or wholeness or love or prosperity. We want to tap into that aspect of God. But then the third step is about integration. It's about recognizing that that exists in me, as me. Integrating that into our awareness. So that we are seeking, which Emily Cady talks about, God knocking at the door of our consciousness, is right here inside me. I don't need to go anywhere to find it. It already is. And I just need to put myself in that awareness, to connect with it, to saturate my consciousness in the reality that this is what I already am. The fourth step is to realize. I realize I can, I have, I know. So when those worry thoughts kind of rise up, this step is about moving it into our world. If I am peace, then I can have peace, I can express peace, I can be peace. Really allowing ourselves to fully and completely open to the idea that what we want is already here in this now moment. It may not be manifest in the physical world, but it absolutely is true in the level of conscious awareness. And we're going to claim it. We're going to give expression to it. We're going to see it into being. I appreciate. This appreciation is for the shift in consciousness, the shift from worry and fear to peace, the shift from lack to affluence, to abundance, to true prosperity. The shift in consciousness from ill health to wholeness. The shift in the tension in our relationships to a place of love, a place where we see that Christ in one another. It's not about changing them, it's about putting myself in the place of love and seeing who they truly are and knowing that I am connected with them fully. This prayer process honors our humanity in the ways we get stuck, but also honors our divinity. They say, we are 100% human, yes, and we are 100% divine. At the intersection of our humanity and divinity, we can claim the power of God and use it to transform our human experience. This is what we seek to realize in prayer through the conscious use of spiritual principle, the transformation of consciousness so that we may know and live from that identity. We are fully human, yes. Fully divine, yes. All of it is part of who we are. And this is a process by which we can really live into that. Taking that divine essence that we are and moving it through our physical form to give it expression in our world. To create an intersection where the wholeness, the oneness in which we live and move and have our being can have physical expression in our world. It's also very helpful when we're really feeling stuck or when we're really hurting or in pain in some way or where we just don't seem to be making any forward movement. To know that we don't have to hold this consciousness alone, to choose to take our prayers to another person and to ask them to hold this consciousness with us, to ask them to hold the high watch with and for us. This is what our prayer chaplains do. It's what we can do whether or not we've been ever been trained as a prayer chaplain. I had the privilege of meeting with the prayer chaplains this week, and I asked for some thoughts about what praying with others meant to them. And this is from Heidi Gudelman. When I am given the opportunity to pray with another, I am entering into a sacred place, a connection with God, our source. When I pray, I am joining my human experience with another person and their human experience. And we are both connecting to the source of everything. That is the place where we can then find comfort, peace, love, and answers in this process of praying. It is a beautiful feeling of love that is shared between the two of us. You know, we don't have to journey alone. We need one another to hold our hands, to be there in consciousness with us, to see for us that which we may not be able to see for ourselves. Because I know for myself, when things seem to be breaking down and falling apart, I can't necessarily find my way back to home, back to my wholeness, back to God consciousness. On my own, I need someone there with me to see the possibility when I'm not able to see it. So I urge you to make use of the many opportunities to pray with one another. You know, we can do it so easily. I've been in grocery stores where someone's come up to me out of the blue, someone I don't know, and has shared something painful. Sometimes I just acknowledge and say, I'm sorry. But when I'm really tapped in, I take a moment. Would you like to pray with me? Let me help you see a different experience here. And then there's meditation, and I wrote up the blurb for this talk, and I said, and I'm going to talk about the difference between prayer and meditation. Why did I do that? Because honestly, I've never found a really clean-cut definition in unity. What I think of when I think of meditation, and I urge you to make meditation a part of your daily practice. But for me, meditation is different than prayer in this way. Meditation has no agenda. It's about bathing myself in the consciousness of God. Meditation for me is about letting go and listening deeply. About truly allowing the infinite to speak through me and to help me take that energy then out into the world. In their book, Teach Us to Pray, Cora and Charles Fillmore say, the purpose of the silence is to still the activity of the individual thought so that the still small voice of God can be heard. I think that's a pretty good definition of meditation. For those of you that don't know, Cora Fillmore was Charles Fillmore's, our founder's second wife. And this is a beautiful book, by the way. But meditation is about letting go and listening deeply. And this is something we want to do as individuals. It's something we do every Sunday as part of our experience in this sanctuary. And I think it's really important for us to intentionally live into that space and to listen to God together. And so starting tomorrow night, I'm going to hold a weekly Zoom call for about half an hour. You need to register so that you get the Zoom link. But it's really just an opportunity. I will set the stage, but most of it is about listening, so that we can, as a community, hear the voice of God collectively and discern what Spirit is calling us to do and to be as a spiritual community. So I hope you will join me. But what I really want to encourage you to do is take the practice of prayer and the practice of meditation and make it a vital part of your spiritual journey and your daily practice.
Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I circulate, and I am grateful.